Manny. Back
Hello.
again for another edition of Here for SR, a live show about hardware failure, uh, never
Uh,
apologizing,
streamer lights.
streamer lights. That's a bit, I think. Memes.
Shit.
That's it.
Tom, always a pleasure. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man. We're back again. We're hanging out. We're doing
That's
this
so
thing.
weird. Another week, another not an Ascari hat.
Mm. Do you like it though? It's a hip hop hat. I don't know if you. It's
Yeah,
it's like
I'm digging it.
it's
I'm
uh
digging it.
it's underground Seattle hip hop from 2013. Oh, he's cracking one. He's he says there's no rules or no what?
Ain't
How
no
does it
laws,
go?
drinking
There
clause.
we go. See, that's how tapped in I am. I have a
It's okay, Grandpa.
I have a Sawtucket Brewery peanut butter porter.
Why would you drink peanut butter, Tom? That's an
Dude,
abomination.
yeah, I'm telling you, if you'd be here putting this in your mouth right now, you'd be saying something else. You'd be singing a different tune, buddy.
Yeah, to the toilet because peanut butter is disgusting.
Pancakes okay hosting next week. Man, you're fired.
Manny fired from stream.
Uh, good evening, Jeff. Uh, this week on the show, Maynard's coming on early. Talk NASCAR. We got Auto Club. We got Bristol. We have PAX. Talking PAX that I did on Saturday. We are talking with Brian Lockwood, Porsche Esports, Super Cup, Tag Heuer, some combination of those words,
As a
driver.
brief aside, how do we keep attracting people with talent?
I don't know. I think people will look back. These very good drivers will look back on their sim racing career and they'll say, "Man, when I was on here for SR, that was a real low point. That was probably the lowest point of my career."
Imagine if these people turn out to use H4SR as a springboard to world championships. What a story that would be.
I would love it if everyone who came on the show went to win like a feature race this in that season because they'd be
I
clamoring to get
mean,
on.
but you have to consider it depends on how you look at life, really. If you look at this moment in life as the sum of your decisions taken in the past, that means that, for example, a friend of the pod, Keegan Leahy, who came on last week,
Mm-hmm.
those 3 wins were integral to him being able to make it onto the show.
Mm.
Therefore, there is some correlation to success and being on our beloved
That
podcast.
tracks. That tracks. I think. Yeah. I think that winning a world championship, winning at a world championship level, and this show go hand in hand.
I mean, if you look at the Venn diagram, it's a circle.
So we're talking that. We're talking with Brian Lockwood. You really. I was finally. This is the first time that I've really been like I've done a little preemptive. I don't know what they call bumpers where we get talk about what's going to be on the show. First time,
This is
and
incredible. I
you
mean, some would
interrupted it.
call this almost a professional production.
Anyway, at the end, towards the end of the show, we're going to talk BMW 120, which myself and Luke from Scary ran today, and we were murdered in cold blood by a F1 World Championship race winning driver, certain
That's a really weird
Mister.
way to describe a Coanda driver, but we'll dive into that
Oh
later.
my God, that happened. That wasn't murder. That was like a mugging. I don't know what that was, but we were murdered by a Mister Max
Simple
Verstappen.
battery versus like felony assault. Got
Oh
it.
my God. Okay, let's bring Maynard on right away, and we can talk a little NASCAR. Maynard, you on?
How's it going, Tom? How's it going, Manny?
Excellent,
Maynard,
excellent.
always a pleasure. How are
Yes,
you?
sir. Thanks for coming on my show
Oh, I just gotta turn the
here for
down.
IR.
Oh
I
my
just done
God.
started it.
There we go.
You guys are my first guest, so I'm glad to have you on my show tonight.
So, are we doing your show while we do our show?
Wow.
I guess we is, huh?
Wow. This is
Ain't that a
Inception
concept?
quality. That's amazing.
What is your show called, Maynard?
Here for IR.
Tom, I think I'm gonna have to get in touch with our copyright lawyers after this.
You're gonna be.
I made it up my dang self. All right.
Here for IR, he says.
I don't know anyone who races for IR. I certainly don't.
No, I wish I could. I can't. I suck. Wow. Well, Maynard, I'm glad. Thanks for bringing us on the show.
Hey, anytime, y'all welcome anytime. Now.
What have you been? What do you got going on? What are we talking about today?
Well, as you know, I remember I done told you on a previous show that we done did talking about Bristol, right? Well, I don't know if you know this, but they just raced there last night. So I figured we gonna talk about that on our show tonight here for IR.
That's beautiful.
Oh, I should ask. I'm drinking a peanut butter porter. Manny has a White Claw. Are you drinking anything tonight, Maynard?
Well, you know me. I'm probably drank half a case last night, so I'm trying to get healthy.
I mean, that is the Saturday
now,
Cup race, right?
So is that when
yes,
you
sir.
go for Bud Light instead of full Budweiser, or?
No. I'm not talking about last night. I'm talking about last night, full party mode. You know, you watching that Cup race.
Yeah, the full Budweiser, right?
Winston Cup. Yeah,
the Winston Cup
tonight,
race.
though,
Bud Light and
it's
celery.
Sunday night, so no. I take Sundays off. I gotta get some healthy drink, right? So I went to the local food line down here, got myself a Lockwood. All right, it's some good stuff. I don't know what it is or what's in it.
That is incredible.
But it says right here, it's a pamplemousse. It's great. I'll tell you, you should get some.
Yeah, pamplemousse is a very nice flavor.
I'm glad I didn't have any.
I don't know anything about that one, but this is pamplemousse. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
Anyway, so we're talking about Bristol.
Yeah, how was the Bristol race?
All right, so let me tell you, I done been hearing now for like months. It's a sold out race. I said, that don't make no sense. They done sold out Bristol since 1997, I believe, back before they ruined the daggone thing.
NASCAR's on the up and up.
I brought up my article for you because I don't know we're going to talk about this. It says right here, NASCAR's Bristol playoff race is sold out, may have largest U.S. sports crowd.
Wow.
Period. And then I was like, all right, I guess they done fixed it. Just do something. I tune in. About nobody sitting in the stands. Like they got like 10 people out there.
That sounds like an NFL sellout.
So
what is going on?
What was the deal?
I got not the slightest, Tom. Can't even tell you. But you know what? It took me about 10 minutes. I figured out what was going on. Is another boring Bristol race because since they done ruin that track, I done fell asleep probably half a dozen times.
I know you don't like that new track, so.
No, sir. It's about the only thing Bristol's good for is learning what the back of your eyelids look like.
How is that different from the other short tracks on the schedule, though, Maynard?
Yes, sir. That's actually a great point. You know, we used to have some great short track battles back in the day. You know, you got the greats. You got Dale. You got Terry. Who else?
Tom.
Rusty Wallace. Tom. I don't know how Tom is on the short tracks, but
not bad.
I've seen him go to town at New Smyrna. I've seen him do some work at New Smyrna.
It's because I'm garbage at all the ones above a mile, so you know.
That is true. I've watched them.
That's true.
It's terrible.
I feel you. That's me some weeks, you know. But yeah, you just gotta get that bump and run, you know, and you just get that short track vibe going. But I don't know with this new package or whatnot, they got too much downforce. You can't bump them. I guess I don't know. They got some stuff on their like nose. They call that with the split or whatever. So it just ruined it.
Maynard, would you say that the current NASCAR package is the worst it's ever been? Or how do you think this compares to the car of tomorrow?
Wow, that's a big question right there. You know, it's just
Because the car of tomorrow, if I remember, was an abomination.
well, see what you're trying to do right now is compare. I don't want to get too lewd on this show, but
On your
compare
show,
Well,
when you're
this is
taking
your
it.
show, yeah.
Well,
you
still,
make
and
the
I got
rules.
like a listener. I don't want to offend the listener that I do got. All right.
That makes sense.
Um,
We feel the same way.
when you when you take when you take when you take a number two, right? It it goes in there in that toilet bowl in the latrine. All right. Well, tomorrow then you're gonna take another number two. You just comparing number twos. You know what I'm saying?
So are you leaving the number 2 in there overnight to compare? Wouldn't that skew the result?
That's to be quite honest, Manny. That's basically what NASCAR done did. That's how I feel. We left that number two in there. It's mellowed now with the yellow, and we're just left with some abomination. It just stinks. You can't even tell anything apart anymore. What you got to do, I'm telling you, listen right here. You write to Bill France right now tonight. You say bring back.
Didn't he get kicked out though?
Listen. You say bring back the Gen 4. That's it. Period. No
That's
more
something we can all
discussion.
agree with.
Nothing. Bring back Gen 4. That's the greatest era. There's there for a reason. And they just didn't ruin the sport ever since then.
That's something we can all agree on, I think.
Yes.
I do love me some Gen 4.
Oh my
And
God.
as we saw in last week's episode with the glory and wonder of Ricky Craven, I mean the Gen 4 is truly one for the ages. It's a timeless creation.
From the chat, Maynard, Crypto Sim Racer puts forth the issue with Bristol is more the track than the package, which I think you agree with, right?
I believe so. However, it don't matter to me. You just got to burn down the track, burn down the cars. That's all we're talking about right now.
Sure.
Now, would the track be sold out if it was still burned down?
Maybe more so because then you got like cars going through fire.
That might be good.
Like
That's a good point.
Doing jumps. Yeah. Now
then all you have to do is move North Wilkesboro like 600 miles southwest, and I mean, it's perfect.
More of a Rockingham man myself, but
yeah. Now if you replace Bristol with Rockingham, we'd be great.
Oh, see in the chat, did you hear about throwing dirt on the track? Well, Maynard has told me many times about the time where they ran World of Allah sprint cars at Bristol. I don't remember what year this was, but he's told me many times about this. And he keeps sending me YouTube links.
99,
somewhere around
2000, something like that. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. All right, they got them sprint cars, and I was never a fan, right? I have you know right now.
No wings.
Stock car, dirt stock car is where I am, right, with my dirt experience.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Street stock, we call them. Okay. Them boys want to bring in these win sprint cars. It look like IndyCar on dirt. I ain't a fan. Leave that stuff in Europe or wherever it came from, right? We don't need none of that.
I don't think that sprint cars are from Europe, but continue, please.
Well, I think Kyle Larson in the winter break, he went down there to Europe and started racing them all winter. So I'm pretty sure they are.
Nailed it.
But anyway, so
continue. Just keep going.
It's still, listen, it's a dirt car. It can run on dirt. Now you put dirt on Bristol. What you need to do, they can call me up, Bill France. If you're listening, you can call me up. We'll hook you up with some street stocks, and we gonna race street stocks at Bristol in the dirt. That'll be fine. But you put these abomination of cars up there on that dirt track in Bristol dirt track, it's gonna be nonsense. We don't want to see none of that.
I'll be honest. I might watch dirt street shocks at Bristol on dirt. I might watch that.
I would enjoy that greatly. I think.
I think everybody would, because that's the greatest combination you could ever dream of.
Maynard, you sent me your own show script. I think if you don't mind, just for when you and I are talking, if we could skip over what you have listed as old Donnie tire tips from the local track? Can we skip that part and go straight to Auto Club?
Well, I was going to talk about that. I had a good probably 15, 20-minute discussion on
Yeah.
that
Oh
one.
no, but I was thinking that when the Here for Us Our guys are on your show, that we could skip over that and you can do it after.
Oh, okay, I say what you're saying. We're just going to move that to the bottom of the
Yeah,
list
when
tonight.
when we
We're off the
So
list
we're
entirely. I mean,
we're
it's
still going
your
to talk
show.
about it. We're still going to talk about it. It's just going to be after a few more things, and then you know what? Then we're kind of free because we can say, okay, we got 60 more minutes to talk about the dirt tricks.
60 more minutes to talk about number 2's overnight that you leave in over.
Yes, sir.
I got bad news for you, quick Maynard, from the chat. The world's first winged car, known today as a winged sprint car, was created and driven by Jim Cushman at the Columbus Motor Speedway in Ohio in 1958.
Well, there's your problem.
Which I'm confident is in the United States.
Yeah, but they're Yankees. We don't want none of that. Racing.
So basically Europe is what you're saying.
Yeah. Where they come from? They came from England.
Got it.
We don't want them.
So we're saying
what language they speak up there in Ohio? They speak English. What's up, Manny?
So just to make sure I understand. So north of the Mason-Dixon, Europe. South of the Mason-Dixon, real America.
I mean, basically, they're putting wings on them cars.
All right.
Look. You just said yourself you didn't like Car Tomorrow. Because why? Because it had this huge, humongous wing on there. It looked like driving from Japan, right? So you put that on daggone stock car, a dirt. What you got? What you got? This sprint car. Nonsense. Anyway, look, we're going to talk about, what was that thing? Hold on. You want to talk about Auto Club? I got something better. We're going to talk about Kyle Busch. Now, I ain't no Kyle Busch fan, right? But he done said something that made me proud. You know what he done said?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I got to read you this quote because it's a good quote. He said, we just got stuck with Logano as the usual, of course. Him being a expletive head. Now, I don't know what an expletive head is, but
I think that means your head blows up. Is that right?
Yeah,
man?
I feel like it's an exclamation point. That sounds right.
And here he says, Joey Logano is nobody's friend for a reason. I can fully stand under Kyle Busch there, his sentiments.
Now, as someone who is a deep fan of the real NASCAR, is it hard to have to support Kyle Busch in his favor against anyone?
Oh man, first off, I think he's from like California or something, so I'm not a big fan of that. And then second off, he's driving cheating Toyota. So, but another thing with Kyle Busch, remember, he got that first win back when he used to race for Hendrick in a Car Tomorrow. And first thing he said, he got out of that car, he said, I ain't racing this piece of expletive, I guess is what he said. But I was like, hey, you know what? He ain't too bad of a guy, I guess.
I
don't know. That was kind of so. Basically, the short bit of the story is he's not that bad. Better than Joey Logano. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's an easy one to say right there. He's better than Joey Logano, but I wouldn't be like hanging out with him in a Daytona practice or nothing like
that. Hey Maynard, we're gonna talk about Auto Club. I just want to quick get in. I know you strictly said this was our show on your show on our show, which is very confusing.
Yes, sir.
But we do have we have a guest.
I believe our paths will be diverging. Yes.
And I think we have Brian Lockwood. Brian, do you got us right now?
Maybe not just
maybe
yet.
Not just yet. Tell you what, man, you can keep talking Auto Club. What do you know?
Guys, is this thing on?
We got you, Brian.
Awesome.
Maynard, we can talk Auto Club. You know what? We're just gonna go 4-way here. I want you.
Brian gets to listen about Auto Club.
Yeah,
which I'm sure
Brian's very up on all NASCAR all the time.
All right, well,
as a brief aside before we get into Auto Club, Brian, welcome to the show. It's very nice to be here in this frame with you.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
How much NASCAR do you watch, Brian?
NASCAR's okay. I don't know much about NASCAR, but we can talk about it.
Love it. Love it.
Works for me.
And we're about to. So, Maynard, Auto Club, hit us up with it.
all right. So I done some reading,
Yeah.
as I do, and they are getting rid of one of the best tracks in NASCAR, which was Fontana. Now I guess y'all kids call it Auto Club or whatever.
That's right.
Whatever reason. Anyway, it's called Fontana, right? So they said, all right, we want to
Sorry guys,
drive
I'm
less.
having
We want to drive
trouble
slower. We
hearing
want to
Tom, I
drive
think.
worse. Let's chop it all up, and we're gonna make it
is
into another
there-
Bristol.
I bet you probably can't hear Maynard. Let me see if I can patch you through.
Oh wow, I can't hear. What's his name?
Brian. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't hear him nothing either.
What a kerfuffle we're having. Here, I'll tell you what, Brian. Maynard, you keep telling us about Auto Club. I'm going to fix the problem here.
All right. So you talking about Bristol back in 1995 and say, hey, that'd be a good track, right? Well, maybe, but now we don't want to see none of them short tracks nonsense. And so what you gonna end up with is grandma driving down the food line in her Toyota Camry, and that's what you got. You got just them driving in circles, turning left. All them Europeans, they want to making fun of us for only turning left, and that's what we got down here with Bristol, Martinsville. We're just gonna have another one of them boring, do nothing short tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And
I find it hard to disagree.
Now you think about what Fontana is, and Michigan, same way, and you got Daytona and Talladega, all pretty much the same, all super speedways, and be flat out pedal to the metal, and that's what you want in NASCAR. You want to go fast, and you want to eat the gas. I think is what they say.
I don't think that's what they say.
And you just want to race, and you just want to go good. You don't want to be going out to the grocery store and getting them bananas in your Toyota Camry. You want to be driving down the interstate flat-footed in your Chevy Camaro. That's what you want.
I do want to
SS.
clarify for the record.
Yes, sir.
Are you endorsing buying bananas from the interstate?
Well, I think you just got me confused. I don't know what you're trying to ask me.
He's asking if you're buying bananas from the interstate. Seemed pretty
Because
clear.
we went from the supermarket to the interstate. I wanted to make sure that I understood.
No, you go buy your bananas at the food line, but you take the interstate to go get there. Down there, I-85.
Brian, I assume you still don't got Maynard, but have you ever bought bananas from the interstate?
I can't say that I have.
Would you like to?
I have bought watermelons from the side of the road, and those are some good watermelons.
Maynard, I'm going to translate for you. Brian says he's bought watermelons from the side of the road, but not bananas.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I've done that too.
I think I've done. I think I've done roadside watermelons, and they were quite tasty. I support this.
Roadside honey.
All right, so now that we've done talking about Auto Club, we're gonna bring on my guest here. Got Dirt Track Local.
Okay.
All right.
We're gonna bounce, Maynard.
I think we're having some technical difficulties, Maynard. We're gonna have to circle back with you on that.
One. It's hard being on your show, Maynard, and on our show on your show. You understand?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, excellent.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll catch him next time. We'll talk later.
Okay. All right.
All right. Y'all have a good show, Brian. Pleasure.
Thank you, Maynard.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
All right, Brian. Well, you missed Maynard. You really missed Maynard. You probably missed. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe the utmost. I'm surprised he hasn't been hired by NBC to do NASCAR journalism.
Tonight's the Emmys, right?
I have no idea, Manny.
Yeah, he's for sure 2021 Emmy contender.
Interesting take. Hot take. Anyway, we have Brian Lockwood. I'm gonna get this right this time. Tag Heuer, Porsche Esports Super Cup, iRacing.
Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup.
Excellent.
Got him.
Driver and team owner, team manager for Racecraft Esports.
Exactly. I manage our racing efforts, so I'm the guy that's managing our roster, bringing new drivers onto the team, stuff like that.
And how long has the team been in existence, and how long have you been sim racing? I know you have some real life stuff too. So we actually have a quick set of questions to ask you, but we'll get that. I'll be honest, it's mostly a meme. So we'll get the real stuff done first about your sim racing background.
All right, yeah. Well, it's funny you ask with Racecraft. We technically started as a team in 2017, mid 2017 or so. But at first, it was really just a group of friends that were racing together. Nothing serious. I was racing in the Skip Barber 2K World Cup, but not super competitively, not taking it that seriously. Then over time, I think in the middle of 2018, I won the 2K World Cup. And from there, we started taking it more seriously. And that's when I say we really started being a racing team instead of just, a circle of friends. We got some drivers from the Skippies, and of course, in 2019, we moved up to the Formula 3s, kept growing, dominated there, and yeah, since then, we've just been chasing competition. And we did some GT stuff throughout 2019. We're planning on doing the GT World Championship this year, but of course, weren't able to do that with the series getting nixed. So I took a shot at the Super Cup, and it's worked out.
Yeah, it has. Did you? Were you expecting to get to qualify in? Do you think when you started?
Absolutely not.
No. I mean, but you definitely have had a lot of pace, certainly. And now that you moved up to the top flight here, I know that. I guess I don't know your expectations for the year.
The thought of basically, it sounds like doing Super Cup qualifying almost has somewhere between an afterthought and a meme born out of curiosity. Qualifying anyway, I mean, that's amazing.
Well, it's something like that. And to be fair, I worked my butt off from day one, but it was like, I wanted to be in a top level competitive series this year. That was the goal. That was always the goal. And I didn't think I could make it with the top 40 drivers on iRacing, probably 40 of the top 50 sim racing drivers. I just didn't think I was there. But I decided, hey, why not go for it? See what happens, see what I can do. I think the new tire model helped me out a lot since everybody was starting from a level playing field. Nobody had a ton of experience with those tires. So I was learning from the same place that everybody else was, and just stayed above the cutoff every week.
That's actually something I wanted to ask you about, particularly because you had some really good results for the first few rounds. And I'm wondering if maybe that new tire model, because you had so much time on it and developing a car and the high level of competition, even in the qualifiers, if you think that probably helped in the first couple of rounds, because if I'm not mistaken, round one was your best result points wise.
Round one was my best, yeah, and then round two followed up with a couple of top tens as well. So,
and you think that has to do a lot with you had being so working and racing with the car so much when maybe the other guys hadn't been, the guys who had been pre-qualified in the series?
Yes and no. I certainly think it helped, but I don't think it gave me a direct advantage over anybody coming in the sense that I did 60 hours of practice for Zandvoort, and that's on track. That's VRS time, not time spent looking at data or going over tire strategy, stuff like that. So I think everybody had the potential for the same result starting from the end of qualifiers. But we and at that time I was working with Jeff Giassi, and we started working with Red Bull as well to push each other and develop the setup even more. So we all got to a really, really strong place for the first round. It's funny you mentioned the tire model. I was actually really thrown off by the mid-season update we had, I think after Donington.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason,
Maybe sometime around Nürburgring, April-ish, somewhere around there.
yeah, well, it was actually before, a couple weeks before the first Le Mans attempt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought we had a decent setup for Le Mans, but around that time, I stopped working with Red Bull and Jeff, and I think they ended up getting somewhere with the setup that I didn't. So anyway, it's a long story, but I started chasing a direction that worked great on the old tire model, but on the new tires, the old tire model meaning the first 3 races. And on the new tires, it just wasn't working so well. So it took me a really long time to realize, hey, maybe I should just approach this from a new tire model perspective and figure out what the car wants, figure out what's going wrong. I was my setups tended to have a lot of understeer on corner entries. They were just easy to drive, but not that fast. And I wasn't able to work out a few different things to make up some pace. But I think we're in a better place now. So we'll see how the next couple rounds go.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let Manny loose. I'm gonna unleash Manny with a couple of quick fire questions on you. So we asked Maynard. So I'm drinking a peanut butter porter this evening, which is quite
Which is
pleasant.
disgusting, but continue.
It's quite good. Manny's being fired. Manny has a White Claw, like the small white man he is.
I'm wearing UGG boots. Don't worry.
Oh my god!
Brilliant.
I think that Keegan might not have been wearing pants last week. He asked me specifically if there'd be video, and I said no, it didn't have to be. And he said, "You know what? Actually, that's going to stay between him and me." Brian, are you drinking anything this evening? I told you it's recommended, but not required.
I've got a Sierra Nevada Torpedo IPA.
Okay, my wife would approve.
Yeah, it's quite good.
I don't know if Manny approves of IPAs. He should.
I'm
he's
not
drinking
crazy
White
about
Claw.
IPAs,
Oh my
but
God.
I do live in a very IPA heavy area, so I've come to a good stalemate with it. There are good IPAs to be had.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I
I
just got bored of everything else.
Interesting. See, I'm bored of IPAs. In the chat, we have 11% white wine. Is that high for a wine? I don't know.
I don't immediately recall, but it's probably tasty.
More of a red wine man myself. Okay, Manny, questions. This is the first time we've been doing this segment. So enjoy, I guess.
Yeah, so really an
Sorry,
underlying theme of the Here for SR podcast is that each guest functions as a science experiment for us to then pass on to the other guests. So congratulations, Ryan, first off.
Yeah.
Happy to be a guinea pig.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Fluke really got the worst of it, but here we are.
He was a lovely person. So, first question. Do you find that you're superstitious? Are there any pre-race rituals you tend to go through?
Absolutely. Really one specifically. So I always eat exactly an hour and a half before qualifying starts. It can't be 15 minutes later or before. Exactly an hour and a half before qualifying.
Does the food vary?
Nope. It's always a beef stew, sometimes with like some basic veggies thrown in, but very simple. Nothing. Yeah, just a beef stew.
So you're like the monk of Porsche Esports Super Cup.
Am I?
Seemingly simple beef stews.
From a practical perspective too, I think that it's important to be on a regular cycle as someone who has
God.
lost the Daytona
Oh, no.
500 due to an unplanned bathroom break. So having regular meal times probably strong for.
I knew what the story
results.
was going. I knew it.
Well, it's funny. My food is super regimented, right? And I'm very careful with that.
Okay.
My sleep, on the other hand, complete mess. You guys would not believe what I put myself through for some of these races. I mean, Barcelona, I had, I think, 30 minutes of sleep because I was up late reworking the setup.
And
Nürburgring,
I feel like that
the
must
original
be.
Nürburgring, I had no sleep at all. I don't think there's a single race I've had more than 4 hours before the race.
I see at a certain point, I'd say anything below 7 hours, regardless. You could give me like the best set in the world, and I'd still be trash.
I'm still trash on 8 hours of sleep, so I don't really have a lot of excuses there.
Me too. We'll get there later. We'll talk about BMW 120. It'll be great. Okay. Sorry, Manny. Continue.
All right. So, next question. You win a Porsche Tag Heuer Esport Super Cup
Nailed
race.
it.
What is your celebratory meal?
Celebratory meal? Oh, something that the ultimate cheat meal. It's probably going to be a cheat day. So
It's gonna be beef stew again.
I'm going to give my interview. I'm going to talk with all my teammates. I'm going to get up, open a bottle of champagne, and order Chinese food. And I'm a type 1 diabetic, so
I love it.
Chinese food in particular just completely screws up my numbers. And I'm going to eat that, going to have a little bit left over. Then that night, ordering a pizza, a giant 20-inch pizza.
From?
Maybe like a sausage, bacon, beef sort of thing. Maybe a Hawaiian. That's going to trigger a few people.
From what? Where are you ordering it from? Were you a
I love
Domino's
Hawaiian
man
pizza.
or what?
Pineapple
What's up
on
here?
pizza is good.
It's a place called Gumby's Pizza here in Tallahassee.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No, not I. Manny, maybe.
It
Bro,
might
are
be
you
a
out
local
in
place.
Tallahassee? I actually
Yeah.
grew up in Jacksonville, so.
Oh, really? Where do you live now?
Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Good job getting
Cool.
out of Florida, buddy. Sorry, Brian.
I traded in the flip flops for cowboy boots. So.
No, it's a good move.
Well, if any,
Florida heat isn't something I'd wish on anybody.
luckily we don't have any listeners from Florida, Manny. I'm confident we haven't offended anyone.
Yeah, I think Pancake is probably our only Florida listener, and now Brian. So when he inevitably has to listen to this again, so.
He'll hear it in his nightmares. Manny, question 3.
All right, question 3. So you show up at your friend's wedding. You're hyped. The DJ is sick, and you have to step in. What banger are you playing to start things off?
Oh. Well, if I'm at my friend's wedding, they know better than to let me anywhere near the DJ. So I don't think that's going to happen in the first place.
We're dealing hypotheticals here.
Okay. All right. Something awful.
Okay.
Maybe Darude Sandstorm would be a good option.
That really.
Some heavy rap music, maybe.
Oh no.
We're not messing around.
Okay.
If you give me the aux cord, we're
See, you can
having
tell
some
you can
stories
tell a
tonight.
man is of a certain vintage when he says, "Give me the aux cord." I think I don't think my children even know what that is. I don't think they understand.
I was big on the aux growing up.
Hell yeah.
Was the auxiliary Del Pocket DJ compatible, Tom? I feel like that's important discussion.
You know it was, buddy. You know it was. Brian's probably a little young for a Del Pocket DJ.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, a little bit.
Brian's like
so Brian,
you
if
like
you were
a
not aware,
96 baby?
The Del Pocket DJ is every like mid 2000s MP3 meme brought to life in a crappy box.
Oh, crappy.
And Tom is a diehard fan. I think he owns stock in Dell. He makes sure to plug it at every possible occasion. So
It was by far and away the finest MP3 player ever made.
Really?
I ran over with
that's
my
a
car
weird way to
once and it
say
was fine.
Microsoft Zune, but we'll move on.
What an asshole. All right, Manny.
All
So
right.
we keep this,
So
these quick fires are taking a long time.
if in PESC, if it was a high school class, what would be your senior superlative?
Senior superlative. Oh. I'm not sure.
So most likely to any of those.
Most likely to choke qualifying, maybe.
Oh, that's
It's
a
been the
sad
story
one.
of the whole season.
That's too bad.
A man after my own heart.
I feel that. I spun in qualifying today during the BMW
All right,
120.
question
So.
five.
Oh no.
So I think you're around the same age as us, so I feel like this will resonate with you deeply. Growing up in the Twilight era for middle and high school, would you say that you were Team Edward or Team Jacob?
I'm having to think about this.
I mean, this might determine your sim racing career. A lot of
It's been
fans
a
just
long time.
You never know who's listening.
I mean, I don't remember. I think at the time I was Team Edward, but looking back, and I don't remember any of the details, so forgive me if this is way off base, but I sort of remember Jacob having way more of a like moral standing ground than Edward.
interesting.
Yeah, that's I think that's a fair assessment. I feel like you've answered correctly. You've done well.
You passed.
Oh, good.
On to the next question. You passed.
All right, next question. Favorite racetrack?
Favorite racetrack? Brands Hatch.
Wow.
Love it. It's
Ooh,
not always
Indy
the
or
best
GP?
to race on. GP, of course, GP.
Yeah.
It's not always the best to race on, but especially for hot lapping and just driving the track. It's got a fantastic rhythm. It's got a fantastic flow to it. Lots of different braking zones, lots of tricky braking zones, and nothing like a hairpin that just you slow the car down almost to a complete stop, and it just breaks the whole flow. I feel like at Brands Hatch, I'm doing. Obviously, the corners have a lot of different corner types, but they're all just you carry speed through the mid corner. You get a really sick exit, and you just try to get the car into the corner as quickly as you can without losing your line. Along with some of the bumps that it has, to me, it's the most fun track on iRacing.
Hot take.
Is it?
I have to say, I'm inclined to agree with you. I think that Brands Hatch is very slept on in a lot of the series schedules, and given, like you said, it might not be the best thing to race on, particularly in like high downforce cars, but I think that the most impressive thing for me about Brands Hatch is that you're either going 10/10ths every lap or you're 3 seconds off. It's a maximum commitment track, and I think that's part of what makes it so fun.
That's also why I'm so slow at it, I think.
It was really crushing for me to be because I had a ton of pace at Brands Hatch for the Super Cup, but something happened in qualifying where I had adjusted my my pedal setup like a week before, and so these metal struts that support the brake actually were coming over the top of the pedal where my toes were, and it wasn't a big issue throughout practice. I could feel they were there, not a big issue. Right before qualifying of the Super Cup, they start actually, I don't know if they're creating a blister on my toe or cutting into my toe or something, but all of a sudden it was super uncomfortable and there wasn't any time to change it. So of course I let that get in my head and just made some mistakes during qualifying. Ended up like somewhere in the low 20s, I think, instead of I should have been competing for a top 10.
Our first guest
And
actually
I know
ever.
that's something that Jamie mentioned on the first broadcast, is how small the gap is between just first and 25th place. Like one corner, that's 10 spots.
Yeah, absolutely. One corner, 1/10. I mean, that's all we're talking here. Really, if you're as fast as someone like Josh Rogers, Sebastian Job, or now Alejandro Sanchez has been up there, you've got a little bit of room for mistakes because they seem to consistently have 1-2 tenths on the field. But if you're more with the main pack, I mean, the gap from 4th to 25th can be just a quarter second or less. And, a quarter second, that's 2 of what I consider major mistakes, but what other people might consider just, that's a normal corner variance for a lot of people.
Normal people.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
yeah, and that's something I've had to really come to grips with as I've run in this series. Just how much a tenth matters, how much 300s matter.
Mm-hmm. Sure. All right, Manny. Hit him with the next one.
All right. Your next question. What is the most useless vegetable and why?
Most useless vegetable.
What never has made it into the beef stew? That's kind of what I want to know.
I think celery is a useless vegetable
Wow.
because you literally burn more calories consuming it than you get from the celery.
I'd argue that might make it the most useful vegetable.
So what you're saying is you can lose weight and do exercise by eating celery.
Yeah, good luck doing exercise. I don't know if you're going to have any energy left over for it, but yeah, you can lose weight, sure.
Fair. It might be the most efficient vegetable or the least efficient. Hard to tell.
I guess it depends how you look at it.
It definitely does. Definitely
Yeah,
does.
I guess it's a matter of perspective.
Flying through.
All right, and last but not least, and possibly the question with
I
I don't know
lost you
how
there
much
for a
you
sec.
watch of Tom's driving, particularly on Open, but I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, Tom. You're absolutely awful at restarts. How can this man improve at restarts?
I'm getting a lot of feedback from somebody here.
It's Manny. Manny wants to know, and
Is
I
it me?
It is. I know you probably don't do a lot of restarts, being a road focused man. Have you done any real asphalt oval? Much of any?
Enough to be familiar with it. I mean, I haven't seriously raced it in years, but I know how it all works. I started off when I was a kid doing laps and laps in the Legends car, so.
Excellent. Manny has implied, maybe fairly, that I am very bad at restarts. And the last question is, how can I improve at restarts?
Well, does the problem stem from just your initial timing of the throttle application, or is it more having all the cars packed together?
Manny?
It could be as simple as maybe opening your eyes.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say some real dumb shit. I knew it. You know
I
what?
mean, what's the trouble, though? What's the trouble? Like, what's causing you to get in trouble? Are you getting gapped on the initial run or through the first couple of turns when we're all restarted? Is that like, are you just consistently losing spots? Where is the issue?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes was the answer.
Okay.
They've actually improved quite a bit, but for a good long while, it was like a meme that if I was starting top 5, I'd be top 10 at the end of lap 1 at least. But you hang on for a while. I think that Manny, it's unfair of you to drop these kind of questions on people when my IR is higher than yours.
Oh.
It is. It actually is. You have
Overtaken,
overcome
yes.
a 700-point deficit from when I got a dog to I think you're 500 points above me, something like that.
Mm-hmm. just remember, in the time that you've had a dog, I've had a child the whole time. So, let's talk PAX.
Now, which one of the two would you want?
I can't talk about this on stream. Let's talk PAX. There was an event this
Oh,
weekend.
just real quick before we move on,
Oh God.
I just want to say there's a good chance I'd have to look at what's going on, but this is one of my favorite things to do as someone who's pretty good at this racing thing, is to look at what's going on with a pattern that you're noticing with your driving, like I'm slow here or I'm losing out on restarts, stuff like that, and really just get to the bottom of the issue. You know, I'm really focused on finding the root cause of whatever is causing the trouble. Like, yeah, as I'm sure you can hear, I'm asking, just by talking with you guys, I'm trying to diagnose where the problems lies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, one of my favorite things to do as someone involved in the sim. And well, that is what I do with coaching. So good chance I'd have to look at exactly what's going on to be able to help you out closely. But if that's something you're interested in, we can make it happen.
You know me, I actually am a pretty strong believer in one-on-one
Ryan, I think
coaching.
you gave
so
that question way more respect than I deserved, and I appreciate you for it.
yeah, I agree. Manny deserves very little respect. Let's talk PAX. We had an event over the weekend. I'm gonna get this name right. It was the PAX Almost Pro 10K iRacing Challenge. I'm pretty sure I nailed it. It was an MX5 at Charlotte Roval, and the PAX is the Penny Arcade Expo. And this year they're doing it all online because of COVID, and they did an iRacing event. So there was a time attack qualifier, and top 40 went in, and it was only open to drivers in the U.S. and Canada. There's about a week-long time attack qualifier, and it turns out that both myself and you made it in, as well as I think 3 of your teammates. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And I, at least, was expecting much worse race quality than we got. It was actually pretty good, and you had a pretty good result, and the team had a great result, I think, overall. 1-2, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So with this kind of racing,
the race management was amazing at the front.
Yeah,
So
that's something I want to talk about. So when it became obvious that you'd have 1-2 at the front, was it decided that you were going to hold those 2 spots? Because drafting was a big deal at the Roval. So now, was it decided? Were you on the radio and you were going to push? How did you make sure that gap stayed at that point?
So nothing was decided beforehand. And I know there have been some issues, for example, earlier this year with the BMW 128 Daytona, with Team Redline doing some really funky, not so clean team strategies to keep their cars up front.
I heard that they like to disconnect their wheels at certain times for advantage super boost. That's just what I heard.
You know, I've heard that too.
We'll talk about it later.
Not gonna say what I was just thinking, but
safety first.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure none of that happened with us. So nothing was decided beforehand. We just knew that, of course, it's a draft track, and we have practice. Our team has a lot of roots in the MX5 and the Skippy, so we have experience working together as a duo, and knowing when's the right time to work together, when's the right time to fight, that sort of thing. So once Rasim and I got out front 1-2, we knew it was in both of our best interests to just try and keep the gap. So we were on the mic together, and whoever was faster at the time, I was behind him for a while, then he started making a few mistakes. So we said, okay, let's swap here. Then that happened again a few laps later. And it just so happened that the pack caught us when Rasim was winning and I was second. So from that point, I'm not going to make a move because we are teammates. We're in first and second. I don't want to make a move that jeopardizes both of our races and jeopardize, if I try to go for the lead and ended up making us drop back to second or third or worse, that's just really stupid.
Do you think there's extra responsibility on you to be safe being the head of the team? Were you feeling that when you're behind him?
I wasn't feeling any extra responsibility to be safe, but I certainly was feeling. It's interesting. There's a bit of a different perspective you have in the race as just a driver and a teammate versus being the actual leader of the team. Like, when we finished the race, we got a 1-2, right? And it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't feeling that celebratory right away because I was also thinking about John and Justin, who started the feature in 6th and 4th respectively, and neither of them finished the race.
Justin died horribly, killing an innocent man right in front of me, I'm afraid.
Well, I'm not sure he was that innocent. I think that was a bit of a racing incident.
Well, he gave it a go. I think neither of them gave each other any sort of room. We were through wide. I backed out.
Yeah.
They murdered each other.
I think that's accurate. Neither of them gave.
It was
each other
pretty.
room.
Yeah, no one was giving a go there. I was surprised on that, but I guess hey, I was hoping to follow Justin actually back to the top 10 because I knew he had some pace. I was pushing him a little bit and was hoping we could have a little run there, but in the end there was some death in front and we lost the draft. But hey, could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was
Does
some death there, which actually I expected a lot more of. So it's maybe impressive that there was. I only saw the one big accident happen right in front of me. I was expecting more. Just glad I wasn't involved in said big accident. I'll take a P13. It was all right. It was good fun.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I mean, it seemed like you picked up the pace quite a bit in those last couple of days before the race. So
Well,
getting up to P13, that's solid.
unlike you, who was easily qualified and safely, I was running time attack laps all the way to Wednesday evening or whatever to make sure I got in. So I'd say by the time when Friday evening when I ran some laps with you guys, that was probably my second non-time attack session of the week, because really it had been a grind up until then. So, if you can get that good time early and, focus elsewhere, that probably was an advantage. So,
Well, I'm not so sure about that. I was the only person that really wasn't doing time trials that much. And even then, I did quite a few because it's standardized track conditions and the pace of the track is going to be the same. So we were actually all using that to improve our pace and to pick out the spots where, okay, John's faster through the last chicane, Rasim's got sector 2 on lockdown, I figured out a way through the backstretch chicane, and we're all using that, working together to make us all faster. And so we actually stuck with time trials for an absurdly long time. Like, I wanted to get to racing earlier, but
yeah, just so you'd have more consistent data across the team members.
yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
Sure, makes sense. So you had the 1-2. I know that John and Justin kind of died horrible deaths or close. But overall, I mean, I think that you qualifying for Super Cup is probably maybe the biggest deal so far. But I mean, this was a really good result for the team. I mean, this was a big deal. I think 1-2 is like quite a performance, and it wasn't like a small field in there. It was. I mean, there was Coke drivers, There was you with the Porsche Super Cup, and a ton of really good oval and road drivers in general. There, I mean, it was quite a field. So, congrats to you guys.
Thanks. Yeah, I'd like to think we've solidified our spot as the strongest road racing team in North America. I'm sure we'll have plenty of challengers here to come, but we had drivers starting first, second, fourth, and sixth in the feature of this pretty intense field for some pretty great prizes.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really proud of the team and how strong we all were. Justin actually hadn't driven the car until Friday, a week before the race. And he was having trouble with shifting in general, using the clutch to shift. He's run a lot of skippies, but that's just, you lift the throttle and you shift. It's much easier. The MX-5, you have to focus on a lot more. So he had to come to grips with that and figure out how to drive the car fast and actually go fast at this track. So, everybody did a really great job.
Yeah, it was good. Very impressive when I saw you guys 1-2 throughout the whole race. Let's do. Now, did you watch any of the BMW 120 today, Brian? I know you didn't participate.
Actually. I missed it.
So I don't know. We could talk the result if you want. If you want, we could talk the result. But I think for me personally, I think more the story was, here I was, we're car number 48 out of 51. We're hanging out top split, doing our own thing, keeping it clean, it's Road Atlanta. Up comes Max Verstappen. Okay. Hanging out, I get it.
And then the Fire Nation attacks.
I get it. I get it. You're a fast guy. Do your thing. We're going into turn 1. He's flashing his light down the back stretch. He's flashing his light and in the chicane. He's flashing his light coming out of turn 14. He's flashing his lights everywhere. I think he's got that. I don't know if he has it mapped to the same button that's shifting, but if he doesn't, maybe he should. But he's flashing me. He's flashing me. It's fine. He's gonna dive into turn 1, and at this point, we're gonna go a lap down. I think their car's sitting 4th or something. I'm not out there to get in the way of the leaders in a muddy race. That's just not what I want to do. However, so I brake early, and I'm in the fence. What's happening? There's contact. There's a 4X on my screen. I'm spinning. I'm in the fence. There's a Max Verstappen sliding in the gravel. Oh my God, what's happening? Tell you what, let's relive this moment. I think I can make it so that everyone can see this.
As you have been for the last 12 hours, but continue.
Absolutely. Okay, Ryan and Manny, can you see what I see?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, good. You see what I see. Now everyone can see it on the stream as well. So this is, I don't know who clipped this, but if you see here, this is Max Verstappen hates Ascari Autosport. Oh my God. Let's see what we got here. Let's
try and find a way of showing you this one. So this will be
there he is.
Roughly where we're
There's
looking
me.
At.
There I am.
Max Verstappen in the number 72
Paint
car.
looks great, gotta say.
And of course, he had such a horrific,
okay, he's definitely making his nose. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Into the wall.
Oh
there
no!
For Max
oh
Verstappen.
no!
Let's have a look from the overhead coverage.
How did that happen?
Looking at this one. Let's try and
I mean, it looked like he was clearly looking to make the pass, and then he just doesn't turn.
Well,
I think that's going to be a case of what was the lap traffic.
Did you piss him off earlier?
My favorite bit is the announcer here saying, "What was the lap car? What was the lap car trying to do?" And I'm like, "Make the fucking quarter." The other announcer here, Will Vincent, he's off the rails, but this other fella, he's got it. Anyway, so the deal is here, the deal is, guys. Redline posted about it later, but I guess Max Verstappen had a wheel disconnect, a short wheel disconnect. I've never heard of this before, but I'm told that it is a thing that happens. It's not something I'm familiar with, but I'm willing to believe it happened because you look at how straight his wheel is. But oh my God, it was. I guess I was like, well, this is top split. This is top split in a money race. I guess this is what it looks like. Death at all turns. Oh my God. Let's get a hot take from Brian here. What do you? We're voting, Manny. You love a good wheel disconnect murder, right?
I wouldn't say I love a good wheel disconnect murder, but just from the grapevine, having some mild familiarity with the type of equipment he may be running, the USB wheel disconnects absolutely do happen. Overall, not a great look. I think you mentioned earlier you didn't get it like an apology or a sorry or anything, which is suboptimal.
That is one of the that is something I
I'm
wanted
not sure
to.
there's any defending it. For me, honestly, more than that incident, there was your pit lane incident,
Oh my God.
which is, I think, much more blatant.
I'm afraid I don't
And
have a Twitch clip of that.
for me, my favorite part of the Max incident has to be the announcer asking what you're doing by leaving 95% of the track going into turn one.
Oh, it was too good. It was too good. Oh my God. Yeah, this is actually something I wanted to, and I don't want to be too serious about it because I don't want to make anyone talk shit about any Porsche sports community. But I was actually kind of thinking about this, and no one. I feel like in a lot of endurance events that I've done, and admittedly, this was the first top split kind of team event I've done. Yeah, I think any big ones at least. And I was kind of thinking that how often in a lower split that I'd get a message from, you get a message from someone on the team that, they're watching or whatever. And you get a message and it'll say, someone will like PM you, like, whisper, hey, sorry, or whatever. And I'm wondering, so in Porsche, how often do you guys talk after the race? Like, if you got an incident, would it be likely that you guys would talk about it?
So, most of the incidents I've had in the Super Cup, I've talked to the driver after the race. Sometimes it's them saying sorry. Sometimes it's me saying mea culpa. Usually, it ends up, fine. Like any other race, any other split. You one person says sorry, or you both explain your perspective, what went wrong, and that's that. I've had a couple incidents where we weren't able to come to an agreement after the fact, and a couple, I'm not going to name names here.
No, that's fine.
But a couple that were pretty painful to me that I heard nothing. And those were actually two teammates that I just heard nothing from after the incident.
Trauma.
So,
wow.
Definitely, I think different teams foster different cultures at the highest level.
Sure.
And you see that everywhere, but it's even more clear. Even more clear at this level. And you're racing the same guys every race, so you get to know people's tendencies a lot better. Just as a positive example, the VRS guys all seem very I'm not saying they're perfect or anything, but they seem like one of the more mature teams on the grid. Generally not looking for, they don't have that sense of toxicity that you get a lot. Other teams are very much on the other end of that spectrum. So I think it's an issue at every high level sport and every high level esport. when so much is at stake, when so much is at stake and you are literally one of the best in the world, racing with the best in the world, it's harder than normal to keep egos in check, I think. And the ugly side of that shows not maybe as often as you'd expect, but certainly more often than you'd hope in a series like the Super Cup.
It's interesting. I think, and I do think that when you bring up that you race, every 2 weeks or whatever the schedule is, close to that, that it probably is beneficial for guys to not really make enemies, because there's only 40 guys. If 5 guys on the grid don't like you very much, that's probably no good for you, just in general. So, and here's the thing, right? So this thing happened, and I understand that myself in a Ascari livery is kind of a nobody to Team Redline. We're getting lapped. I don't care. It's fine. I understand the levels here. But I do kind of wish that someone could have said, "Oh, hey, we had a wheel disconnect. Sorry." I would have been like, "Sucks. Yeah, it sucks. It's fine. I get it."
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it did. It was kind of. I was kind of like, well, you kill a lap car and no one thinks twice. I was kind of like, well, we didn't even get a mention in the Team Redline Twitter or their little their press release, and I'm kind of like, well, it just said they took a lap car with them, and I was like, well, hey, you did, you killed the race.
And
but
I think that's ridiculous. If your wheel disconnects, which I think, looking at that incident, he had nothing to gain from just driving into you like that. I don't think he wanted to nuke his own race.
No,
so I think
especially when like P4
pretty
or whatever,
likely.
like it was just kind of weird.
Yeah, you look at like how straight his wheel is too.
It sucks for you guys, and I think it's pretty likely. But the first thing you got to do in that situation is say, "Hey, this happened. I'm sorry."
I think, yeah, no, and it wasn't a huge deal. Like, I mean, especially now with the wheel disconnect thing, and we all get it. We all have technicals, even if it wouldn't have been. We all make mistakes. Say he was trying to get back in line and screwed up. Whatever. But I do think that in general, like a quick apology goes a long way. But regardless, it's fine. It is funny that you bring up, and it was less of a big deal. It's funny
As
that you
Tom
bring up.
sharpens his spear and pitchfork.
Oh my god! The 120 was just like the big teams, just bullying us the whole race. Backham from VRS gave us a little boot into the pits, and we got a unsafe pit entry, which was a 40-second stop and go for our troubles. Again, I understand these guys are very quick entering pit lane. I'm sure better than I going over the crest. They really got that dialed in. But hey, man, you got a lap car in front of you. You got to chill out. Again, no apology.
I think part of that, and unfortunately, the communication about this isn't very good between guys like yourself and the group of people who are top tier, or think they're top tier, and they're going for every last bit of pace.
Sure.
The preparation levels can be different, and it can be really difficult for a fast guy that's used to these margins. We're talking about in the Super Cup, a margin of a couple tenths. A tenth in a corner is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a lot. And when you're racing against other people who are also at that level that consider a tenth in a corner a lot, the margin, you expect the car in front of you to act a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in a field of mostly fast guys, but then some people that are just less serious, a little bit less looking for every mark, it's not excusing it, because I don't think it's okay. I don't think it's right. But it can very easily catch you off guard.
Well, I think it's an easy mistake to make, and I don't particularly put him at fault. I mean, my good pit entry compared to Backham's pit entry, who's sitting 12th or whatever, is very different. I mean, we're probably a second apart just on our because Road Atlanta is not the easiest pit entry. You go over the crest, got to get the car slowed down to the right. So he and I probably have very different closing speeds, which I completely understand, and I don't really put him at fault. It was just unfortunate. But I do think that if I would have been a Super Cup driver, I would have gotten an apology afterwards. That's sort of more the question on the whole, and I think it's less of a. I want to be clear. It's less of a me complaining, because really I don't really care. I mean, you go to a top split event, and you expect. I mean, people expect you to be at a certain pace, and you expect others to be at a certain pace. So they expect me at a certain level, and I know they're going to be flying everywhere because they're going for money, and I understand that. But I think that me. Here's me on my soapbox, but I think that guys at the top level could do a lot of good and really make, I don't want to say make friends, but it would be a good show just to spend 15 seconds and like maybe even like talk to guys or whatever. Even it's not even always apologizing, but offering a quick word or whatever to guys, I think would probably be good, because I mean we're dealing with a 52 car field in BMW. The skill at bottom and top's huge, and I don't know, if I got a message from anyone about anything, even if they were like, hey, I think you're lifting too early into turn 10 or whatever, something above fuel, I'd be like, hey man, that's useful. I mean, you look at me, I'm a guy who's been on the service 10 months now, and these are the pro guys. I mean, not everyone's looking to take time, but I don't know. I think these people, it could from a very grassroots level look very good for their sponsors, and because like they're their own product, just like you are with coaching and the team, and that very personal, the optics of like you are very important in a relatively small community. So it's kind of it's interesting. I think maybe that we don't talk about it enough, maybe.
No, we don't. And that's a really interesting point that you've touched on. And it's a problem within the high level community. I don't know if it's this way with other esports, but I've certainly seen it really kind of badly with iRacing. The high level drivers, it's almost a clique. The high level drivers everybody knows everybody, right? Because that's normal. You race against each other.
Mm-hmm.
You're the only people at that level. A lot of the high level drivers aren't making any effort to connect with slower guys, to connect with the rest of the community outside of the top tier, right?
Yeah.
And on some level, I don't think it's feasible. We can't be friends with everybody.
No.
No.
We can't. It's not reasonable to expect a high level driver's circle of friends to be like, oh, one other high level driver and 15 slower guys.
No.
There's a reason we're all spending a lot of time together, but at the same time, there is that issue of you don't get any respect either on track, or sometimes it feels like as a person, until you prove you're at that level. And then suddenly you're a person, you exist. I could get more into it, but I'll leave it at that for now. It's definitely an issue with our community, and one that I hope that a lot of drivers, or more drivers, try to help fix.
Yeah, and I think from the sounds of where you're coming from on this, it sounds like a lot of it is really maybe to some degree self-awareness, right? Like it strikes me that both you as a person and you in terms of like a team manager and owner, it sounds like you tend to look at things maybe from a bigger picture than where some of the other guys might be strictly focused on those sweet sponsor dollars and results at the expense of everything else. Where it seems like you appreciate the role the community plays maybe a little more than some of your peers at the same level. So no, I think to your point, it sounds like a lot of it is maybe to some degree self-awareness and being cognizant of the image that you cultivate when you go for the Sherman approach, scorched earth at all costs, in pursuit of total victory. So
Yeah, I try, and it's something that I'm certainly. I mean, I've got a long way to go to improve on that, but uh, just being aware, as you say, that self-awareness, the impact that someone in my position can have on other people in the community, even by just not thinking about the rest of the community.
Or coming on bad podcasts to talk about Twilight.
Well, if I had answered Team Edward, I might be getting some hate mail. I might anyway, but yeah, I think if we're all just thinking more about that stuff, we can really go a long way.
And I don't want to be all doom and gloom on it. I actually think that the sim racing community, from top to bottom, has been probably one of the most welcoming and positive communities I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, and I don't think that it's actually. And when I'm complaining about the red line incident, or when I'm saying, "Oh, back 'em pumping in the pits," I actually don't think that it's so much of a problem of them being like, "Oh, I don't care." I think it's maybe more of an issue of and
The
part of it,
quantification of significance, maybe to some degree.
yeah, and just like
Isn't that the same as I don't care?
Doing
Said a little more
kind
nicely.
of.
That is a fair counterpoint.
I do think that the and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like a watching NASCAR thing and how they often deal with their on track stuff off the track. But I really think that the oval community is super vocal compared to the road community. I don't think very rarely will I touch someone on track on an oval and not talk about it in voice chat or even have some PMs afterwards. And usually it's quite positive. People be like, "Oh, hey man, I did this stupid thing, such and such." And I don't know if it's actually people being like, "Hey, I know I'm gonna race them again," and over racing so close, like you can't make enemies. I actually think it's some sort of cultural norm, and I don't know if it's a NASCAR thing or what, but I noticed that compared to the road, maybe it's just a talkative thing because oval races are much more chatty. I mean, they are, like, guys are bullshitting all the time with yellows, but it's interesting, and I do kind of hope that I think we could find a nice middle ground, because I don't need to hear the guys talking about their wives during a cautioning ovals, but the road guys maybe could probably learn some from oval too. So it's fun. From the chat, it's odd because I usually hear people bitch in oval. Yeah, there's that too, but overall, I've had a pretty good experience with the sim racing community. So I don't want to be. Just to be clear, I'm complaining a little bit about the 120, but it's peanuts compared to the overall experience I've had with guys.
Or peanut butter porter.
Oh, it was so good. It's gone, but it was so good.
That's really interesting. I could speculate about some reasons for that, but obviously I don't have any better perspective to offer. I will say that for some reason, the roadside, I'll tell you, I was shocked when I first started mixing with these high-level guys at the general vibe I was getting a lot of the time. And it's great to hear that the oval side of things, that there's a lot more of a community sense, that there's less elitism, stuff like that.
I think it is smaller too. Like the group, the guys that are the group of guys that are fast in like top splits of oval, it's a lot smaller. I think the time zones are more limited. And
that's
maybe
fair.
that's
Yeah,
something
there's not
to do
as
with
much
it.
spread. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Maybe. I mean, because
yeah,
like,
but
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, you know, on the road side, it's completely different, I think,
Mhm.
for the most part. And especially at Racecraft, we're working to, at the very least, not. I'm not saying it right, but not continue that trend. You know, to
Yeah,
try
not
to.
be another
Sure.
another brick in the toxicity wall, or however you want to
Exactly.
phrase it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure. No, I understand. And I do think that some of the teams, I don't know, are, if you're a Redline, if you're a Coanda, you probably, I don't know, if you spent a lot of time on every message you got and dealing with like every 2.3K guy that thinks they're the shit next to Ayrton Senna, like you'd have no time and you'd be super burned out. So I assume there probably is like a reason that, you know, there is probably a reason for the way that certain things are. Because how many messages on Discord do you think Josh Rogers gets like every week? It's probably stupid. It's probably a ton. People find him on the VRS server and just like spam him, right? I don't know. He probably has tons of fun. Hey man, please look at my data. I did a 12. You did an 11. Do you think I can make pro? Okay. You know what, Brian? You want to stay with us, and we're about done here. What do you think? You got any other 10 minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. We're gonna talk about something. Actually, you know, you're a VR user, right?
I am.
You're a VR user, and
I
you're
was
in
about to ask you where your monitors were on your rig. I was like, wow, your monitors are so far away.
It's funny. So you're a VR user and you're in a world championship. So I'm assuming you must be a dirt world championship because there's no other explanation that you'd have both. He's in the non-winged world championship that's now defunct. I'm
Oh, is he
certain.
really?
No, he's not, Manny. Uh, but so there's been dirt. The sprint car has been, the qualifying series has been going on, and they moved it to a road to pro like one race a week qualifying series. I don't know if you're aware of this, Brian.
No, I didn't.
So it's
didn't know
just
that.
it's just one time slot a week.
Okay.
And do you think this would be a good idea for Porsche to move to like a one time, so they'd run them at the same time that the Super Cup races would go? So like, you know, the qualifying series would be one race a week. They'd be on Saturdays at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. for you or whatever. And it would be like a, you know, like a one season, one time slot a week. Do you think that would be better as a qualifying series or not?
Well, so if we take the top split in a vacuum,
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, that's better. I don't like that people have 4 shots to have a good race, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you're
Is
in the
that good
top
or
split every
bad?
race, you have a good chance every race. But as someone who qualified from the second split last year, I was one of 2 people, 2, maybe 3, to make it from the second split last year. It was me and Dane Warren, maybe Alexei Usiakova, but not sure about him. I think he made it to top pretty quickly. Anyway, having one split per week would have ruined a lot of my early point scores because it's much harder. It's easier and harder at the same time to score points in the second split. My points largely came from the second, even the third and fourth races, where I could make a weaker top split, right? With the strength of field being 7,400 instead of 8,000. In those races, you know, I would beat some people from the top split. I would finish, say, 4th and get a really nice point score. Whereas in the second split with a 6,500 strength of field, you have to finish top 2 to get a relevant point score.
Sure.
And there are plenty of people that, you know, the rating system really isn't so accurate above a certain level.
Agreed.
Just because
Absolutely.
you're generally not racing against people of your same skill.
Yep.
And you get free points for beating people that you should be expected to beat every time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that system really, really hurts people who are underrated going in. which it's funny. A year ago, I
Well-
think I would have been pretty excited about going to one race per week, but that really hurts the general sense of you don't have to have the rating to make it. You just have to be good.
See, I think that it's actually better for guys in second and third split because
How so?
So, yeah, Tom, I'll let you continue, but I think you and I were about to mention the same point.
well, there's a couple things. Let's take we'll talk about first an example from the Porsche qualifiers. When at Nords, there was a time, I think it was it Berryman? I don't think it was Berryman because he couldn't get in anyway. But there was a fella who won the race before the big broadcast at SOF, okay? And he had the only way to score more points in the broadcasted race was to win it. And he knew that, okay? So he's in second. We're on the last lap at Nords. Dive bomb, big send, because he's got nothing to lose. Takes out the leader, takes out himself, doesn't matter. So now you have a checkers or wreckers going on a lot more. I think if you got four shots at it, and I think that too. I mean, not only does it encourage being super aggressive. If there's one slot a week, if you wreck, I think it actually is way worse for top split guys. So in the dirt sprint car qualifiers, I was third split, okay, and mostly I'm doing it because I enjoy fucking around in 410s, and I like the 1 week, but I gave it a go. You know, I had a good week. I was up like 800 I rating, running 410s, and I gave it a go, and I was third split. And I got third or fourth, I don't remember, and that put me at 22nd overall, top 20 get in. So guys in top split are not very happy about this new system that we have. You know, and especially with sprint cars, because not everyone gets in the feature, and if you don't get in the feature, you're scoring almost nothing. So it's like doubly bad for top split guys in sprint cars. It's interesting. I think it's interesting that you say it would be worse. I think it's much better. I think there would be zero chance of me making sprint car or WC if without this system, because I think it really mixes up and guys are wrecking out. And sprint car 2 is only 7 weeks and then 2 drops. So it's interesting. I think it's interesting you say that, and you might be right mathematically. We'd have to look at that, but
I think part of why it works, particularly when you look at like Oval Road to Pro with a single time slot, is for the exact same thing that you just stated about iRating not really mattering past a certain point. So what you end up having is, for example, with the current setup of Road to Pro, the participation is so high, and that I think anyone in the first, what was it this year, Tom? Like top 4 splits is in contention.
Really?
I mean, just because because the strength of fields are so close.
Yeah. So it goes. I think this year was 5.5 to 6K was enough. Where if you're finishing at the top of the field every single time and fourth split, you know, going into third split on weird weeks, that you're getting enough points.
You'd have to
which
be very
I
good.
think is one of the advantages of having a single standardized time.
So there's one thing I will say about the Super Cup qualifiers, and this is without getting into here are the pros and cons of this, here are the pros and cons of that.
Mm-hmm.
In the Super Cup qualifiers, I can think of one person who didn't get in that probably deserved to get in, and that's because he was really slow the first half of the season. That's Joao Vaz. He had some really strong performances in the second half, and he clearly belonged in the field, but just didn't collect the points early on to have a fair shot. Aside from that, there isn't a single person in the top 20 at the end of the day that through qualifiers I felt didn't have the strength to be in the top 20, that there's someone else that should have taken their spot. And even though it was a messy qualifiers, there's a lot that went down. The results, I think, spoke for themselves.
I mean, if the results didn't, the burnouts leaving pit lane certainly did.
Oh my God.
That was a whole nother thing.
Manny, let's not talk about that before we get banned. The iRacing hackers will shut down the podcast and trash my computer.
I'm just glad we don't have to deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Just be careful. Just be careful, Brian. Don't talk too loudly about it. That's interesting. I think I'm gonna think about that. On, I will say, out of a purely selfish, I like that a lot more, just because I don't know, it seems so clean, and maybe it's not the fairest or the best way, but me thinking about it, like, I know there's like guys that are like, oh well, I can't make said time slot, but then you couldn't make the real stuff. You couldn't make the real series, and that's always been the thing with Coke, with like Road to Pro, is, well, if you can't make that Tuesday night, you can't make the regular series anyway. So I don't know. I kind of understand where they're coming from. It makes it more of an event. I have a feeling that because they went to this for the sprint cars, they're gonna go elsewhere with it. I would not be surprised if we see it in Porsche next year. You heard it here first. You heard it first. I think that might be a thing, and it sounds like they'll never do snake splits again. That's what I hear. Never again. But we'll see. I think it was fun. I'm having a fun time doing sprint car, and it's like an official league, kind of. I mean, for guys in third split anyway. It's a good time. I think we just about got to get out of here, guys, because it is 10 to 10 Central, 10 to 11 for Brian.
You should have been in bed like an hour and a half ago, Tom.
Brian will be going to sleep in another 5 hours, but I will be going to sleep much sooner than
That's
that.
right.
Manny, do you have anything else?
No, really. I just want to take a moment. Brian, it's been wonderful having you on the show and meeting you, and thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I really enjoyed this. Thanks for giving me the platform to speak my mind, and maybe we can do this again sometime.
That would be excellent. I think.
I mean, it's a testament that we can't be doing that horribly if you're willing to come back.
That's
so
right.
I'll sleep well tonight on that one.
I think now that we got most of the formalities out of the way too, you could come on next time. We'll get you talking to Maynard. You'll be watching that cup race, that good old Winston Cup race. That weekend, you'll be telling me all about crossweight and what you've learned. I look forward to that day. Or maybe you'll be telling me about how you love Fairbury after the track slicks off a little bit and you got to go to the bottom. Oh my God. Okay. All right, guys. This was rad. I pity the fool that listened again this week. I'm Tom Romitis. That's Manny Tolentino and Brian Lockwood. We had them all. Brian, pretty much, he was like a third host of the show.
And I mean, if nothing else, at least better than one of the other two. I'll leave it to the audience.
That's right. Next week, here for SR is just going to be Manny, Pancake, and Brian. We'll see you then.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it.